In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear axle CV shafts on this BMW 328i. These are going to be located in the rear of the vehicle underneath. Let's get into it. Now we're going to remove the wheel. Use a 17mm socket. Take these lug bolts out. Before I take the last one off, I'm just going to hold the wheel on so it doesn't fall. Take that off, grab the wheel, and pull it off. I'm going to take the axle nut off. It's peened over right here and here. Just choose a chisel and just try to bend it back a little bit. Just make it easier to remove. And you're going to use a 12-point 30mm socket. Take that off. I'm just going to make sure the axle is separated from the hub. Just take a punch, just give it a tap. Make sure that's loose. I'm going to take the bolts out of the axle near the differential. Use a E12 socket. Just going to use a piece of plastic just in between the boot and the socket, just so I don't ruin the boot. All right. There we go. Take all those bolts out. To rotate the axle, I'm just using a Phillips head screwdriver, and just in between the fins in the rotor, you can just rotate it, and you can get access to the other boot. You can also use the screwdriver at the top where the caliper is, and that's going to prevent it from spinning when you go to loosen it up. If you're on the passenger side, you're going to have to do it below the caliper. And you also have these shims in there, so you want to take those off as well. Take that out. There you go. Right, there we go. That's the last one. Take that plastic off. Now underneath the axle, I'm just going to take a pry bar. Give it a tap, just try to break it free from the differential. There we go. Underneath, we're going to take this bolt out for this front lower control arm. Use a 18mm socket, 18mm wrench. Careful, it is going to move a little bit when you take that out. Now we're going to take this nut and bolt off. Use a 21mm socket, 21mm wrench. Pull that out. And using a 18mm socket, take this bolt out. Using a pry bar, just going to pry the knuckle out, just like that. So you want the axle like this, out of where the flange is for the differential. Just try to move it forward, not so much up, but forward. And our vehicle has the exhaust going right here. If your vehicle is different, you might be able to skip this step, but we have to lower the exhaust down because It's on the driver's side. If it was on the passenger side, you don't need that on this vehicle. So we're gonna lower down the exhaust. We're gonna remove this plate, use a T50 socket, take these screws out. That plate down. Where this bracket is at the transmission, we're going to take these two nuts off. I'm going to use an 8mm wrench on the bolt, 13mm socket. Take that off. You can do the same on the other one. Those out. You take the bolts out as well. There's little spacers on the back. Now we're going to use a pull jack just to support the exhaust system right in front of the muffler. Now we're going to go around and disconnect the mounts from the exhaust system. There is muffler hanger pliers that work really well. If you have those, you can use those. If not, do the best you can. Sometimes a pry bar or even two pry bars. And just prying them will work also. It's just not as easy. Pull that off. Out of the way. For this one, we can actually disconnect the mount. It's going to be a little easier. Use a 13mm socket. Take that nut off. And there's a bolt in the back. For this mount, you can go through this hole right here, this access hole, use an E10 socket. That bolt out. Now lower the exhaust down. You don't have to go too far, just enough so that the axle will clear. A little bit further. That looks good there. Now I'm going to take a punch and just push the axle the rest of the way through. Grab the axle and it comes right out. Take the new axle, go through here. And go through the hub. That in place. Get this lined up top. Now we're going to take the bolts and this spacer and get those all started on the axle. And get the other bolts in. And we can snug these down. If you're going to use an air ratchet, you want to use that piece of plastic we used to protect the boot. All right, snug that down and do the same for the others. And once those are all snug, then we're going to torque those to 45 foot-pounds. Good. And just rotate, do the same with the other ones. All right, that's good. Now we're going to start getting the control arms lined up. I'm just going to pry this out, just using a pry bar. Get that close. Then I'm just going to temporarily put a Phillips head screwdriver through there just to hold that. And get this bolt in here. Just pry this out a little bit. There we go, right there. Just to make it easier to line this up, I'm just going to use some large pliers. Then I can move this just like that, and that's lined up there. Tap that in place. It's a little tip for you. And line this control arm up. And again, we're going to have to pry to get that bolt to line up. Push that in. I'm going to get that close, but you don't want it too tight. We have to raise up the suspension to get it close to ride height before we tighten that down. Same with the other ones. Now for this one, I'm just going to use the large pliers. Just try to pull this in the right direction. There it is. Get that lined up. The screwdriver fell out. That's okay. Tap that in. I'll put that nut on. Just snug this down so it's still loose. Right about there. Again, we're going to have to raise up on the suspension and then snug these down before we torque them. Raise up the pole jack. Get this as close to ride height as possible. That's good right there. And put that nut on. Snug that down. It is recommended that you replace that nut and bolt with a new nut and bolt. You want to torque this to 73 foot-pounds and then an additional 90 degrees. And then 90 degrees. If you don't have a torque angle meter, do the best you can. Torque this bolt to 73 foot-pounds. And torque this nut and bolt to 73 foot-pounds. Now lower the pull jack, nice and slow. We're going to raise the exhaust and put the mounts back in. I'm just going to use a little silicone spray to assist getting this back together and makes it a little easier. You could use soapy water if you want. Just raise it up. Just slide that in place. That's good. You know, wipe away the excess. Line this up. Put this nut on. Snug that down. I'm going to take this bolt. I'm going to go through here. And I'll tighten that down. Now we can lower the pull jack. Take that out of the way. I'm going to take this plate, get that lined up, get the bolts started. And tighten these down. Now take the screws, and we have these spacers that are going to go in the middle. Get those lined up. Put the bolt through. And get the nut started on the back. Now just tighten these down. Alright, that's snug. Do the same on this one. Snug it down. Take the axle nut, get that started. Snug that down. I'm gonna take 2 of the lug studs. Then I'm going to put a pry bar in between here, just to prevent this from spinning. It's going to prevent the hub from spinning. And we're going to torque this nut to 310 foot-pounds. That's good. Remove the pry bar. Remove the bolts. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle. Now I'll put the wheel on, get that lined up. Get the lug stud started. the other ones on, snug those down. Now we're going to torque the lug bolts to 80 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Go around again, double check.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.